What's up, everybody? After a bye week where I was in the Big Easy, I'm back in the Big Apple, and that means it is time for another episode of the New York Sports Rapid Rundown. We are going to talk about the hottest three topics in New York sports this week. And joining me in studio to do just that is one of my favorite sports journalists in the game. She is a fantastic storyteller, host, and producer. She also loves hoops like me, and she can give you buckets. They call her the mid-range mommy, the one and only Greydy Díaz. Greydy, how you doing?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad to have you here. It's been a long time coming. We need to have you here on the New York Sports Rapid Rundown, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. There's a lot to get into this week, Greydy, and we got to talk about the Knicks. They got smacked in their final preseason game against the Wizards. The Giants, they are looking to score, yes, their first home touchdown of the season in Week 7. But first, you know what we got to talk about. We have to talk about the New York Liberty. And Greydy, like myself, you were in the building at the Barclays Center for Game 4 on Wednesday night of the WNBA Finals. Unfortunately, it did not go the way that New York fans wanted it to go. The Liberty fall to the Aces, 70-69. They lose 3-1 in this series. Now, as you know, a lot of talk has been about what went wrong for the Liberty. Breanna Stewart, she's been criticized a bit for her play throughout the playoffs and in the W Finals. What do you think about how the Liberty season ended, and should Stewie take a lot of the blame here? Should she be blamed for how things went for the Liberty in the finals?
It's a team sport, so no, I don't think Stewie should take the full blame, but your MVPs, plural, need to show up in the biggest moments. Jonquel Jones only had 8 touches. Breanna Stewart went 3 for 17 from the field goal and had 0 three-pointers made. So they combined for 16 points, which is incredibly low for a finals game. As a team, I thought that they didn't finish well at the rim. They should have drawn more fouls as the Aces, were lacking players.
Yeah, they were, and it was disappointing in that. And I think sometimes you're right. The biggest players have to step up in the biggest moments. But like you said, it's also a team game, right? And collectively, they just did not get the job done. But I think there's another way of also looking at this a bit more, Greydy, which is, okay, teams grow. This was a team that was put together. Our good friend Christina Williams had been preaching patience and chemistry with this team all season long. Do you view this loss in the finals for the Liberty as a sort of learning moment, teaching moment for them? And do you expect them to compete for championships in 2024 and beyond?
Absolutely. I think with every loss, you can learn something. And more than anything, I think this season was a ton of reps for them. If you really think about it, they've only played together for about 6 months. The Aces have been playing together for quite a bit, right? So I think that they have plenty of room to grow, plenty of time to even build even more chemistry as they go into next season. And I think next season they're going to be scary again.
So you think they're going to be scary and you think they're going to be really motivated. Do you expect a lot of changes for them next season? Do you think there'll be a lot of changes, or is it just minor tweaks to this team that'll have them back to competing at a championship level?
I think it's minor tweaks. I don't think they have to do anything big. At the end of the day, as I said, reps. Reps makes anybody better. So that's all they need.
All they need is more reps. All right, it was a great season for the Liberty. I know I had so much fun covering them. The building was rocking. We'll get into that a little bit more later there, but a fantastic season for the New York Liberty. All right, next up, we got to talk about the New York Knicks. They played their final preseason game on Wednesday. Greydy, this was not a good one, okay? They gave up 131 points to the Wizards. I understand it's preseason, but this was supposed to be the dress rehearsal before the season opener against the Celtics. So I got to ask you this. After what you saw on Wednesday night for the Knicks defense against the Wizards, are you concerned about this defense as they head into the season opener?
I'm a little bit concerned. And I think the team was too, and coach, which is why they talked about it so much and said, hey, we need to actually show up and compete. And I think, next week when they do play the Boston Celtics for their first home opener, they're going to have to bring a little bit more intensity, especially on the defensive end, because the Celtics, they love to score, right? So I think that we should be a little concerned, but yeah, they have some work to do. And if they don't get it together sooner than later, it's going to be a very long season for the New York Knicks.
Well, that's not what Knicks fans want to hear. This is a team that ranked 19th in overall defense last year. They need to improve and get more to around the league average to be better. But speaking about that, talking about whether it'll be a long season or not, how do you think this team stacks up against the rest of the Eastern Conference? Because Milwaukee and Boston right now, I think in many people's eyes, are viewed as the favorites in the East. Do you think the Knicks are below that tier? Can they compete with that tier at all? How do you see them stacking up?
I really think the Knicks could be a top 5 to 8 team in the East, but the teams that I think they really have to worry about this season are going to be the Celtics, the Heat, the 76ers, the Bucks, as you said, and don't sleep on Cleveland.
Okay, not sleeping on Cleveland, who they knocked out in the first round last year. You're still giving some love in Cleveland. 5 to 8. Knicks fans definitely want to see them go higher because last year they finished 5th. They'd like to see an improvement. You know that. Do you think they can improve? Can they get up to top 3 or 4? Or do you look at that as a tough task?
Tough task. I don't see it happening.
Don't see it happening at all. 5 to 8. Greydy Díaz out here disappointing the Knicks fans thus far. Only 5 to 8. All right, we'll see how it all plays out. Look, NBA season tips off on Wednesday night. I'm excited. I know you're excited too. I can't wait.
I'll be at the game.
You'll be at the game. Can't wait for the Knicks season to start. All right, Greydy, we have to talk about some Giants football. And the Giants, not so good right now. The fans watching, they know this, 1-5 on the season. But have you ever seen a stat where you kind of know it, but then when you actually see it and read it or hear about it, you're like, oh man, it was really that bad? Folks, the Giants have been outscored 64-3 at home. The fans at MetLife Stadium have not seen this team score a touchdown on offense or defense either. So I got to ask you this. With the offense being as bad as it is, Greydy, will the team score a touchdown this week at MetLife Stadium? Will the Giants faithful actually see their team score a touchdown?
I hope so. Do it for the fans. Clearly the Giants are struggling on offense. A year ago they were 5th in scoring touchdown percentage, and this year they're 30th. So, what a decline. But I think more than anything, the fans deserve to see a touchdown. I can't imagine paying however many dollars they pay to, go watch the Giants play. To not see them score is very disappointing.
Yeah, this is the time when, you see this stuff happening, you see fans putting the bags over their heads. You don't want things to be that sad for the Giants. I know my director, Joe, he's not too thrilled about his Giants right now. But considering where they are, 1-5, they have a chance to try to improve to 2-5 in Week 7. There's been a lot of talk about what the Giants should do here with the trade deadline coming up. Do you think they should be sellers? There's been some names rumored like Saquon Barkley. Should they trade him off? Do you think the Giants should be sellers, at the NFL trade deadline?
Saquon Barkley has been very vocal in saying that he doesn't want to be traded. He wants to stay in New York. So I do think that if you do get rid of him, if you do make moves, you have to think about what is the locker room going to look like? What is chemistry going to look like? So I think the Giants, right now, it doesn't look like they're going to have a playoff run. So you might as well just stick with what you have, work with what you have, and reevaluate at the end of the season.
I do think there's a fair point you bring up there, right, too, which is even if you can there's value for Saquon, somebody might want to give you some pieces for him. What does that do to the team? What kind of message does that send to the team going forward? Are you basically saying, hey, it's a wrap this year, even though some fans and some people may feel that way, you just wonder what message that says to the team? You think the Giants turn things around this season? Not looking good right now, right?
I don't think it's looking good.
Not looking good. 1-5 is not looking good. But Greydy, you heard her. She said it. Do it for the fans. Please do it for the fans. They need to see a touchdown at MetLife Stadium this week. All right, Greydy, we got to go back to the Liberty because through this playoff run, which I'll be very clear about this. Fantastic. Okay, fantastic season. You and I were talking a little bit off camera about how much we enjoyed covering the team this season, being around the team, just being around the W in itself and all the growth that's there. There was also a lot of talk, as people may have heard, the energy at the Barclays Center, okay? Some people out there have said it's quiet. They've said it's dark. That was not my personal experience being in the building for multiple games this year. I don't know if it was yours as well. But what do you think about the recent growth of women's basketball right now, but not just here in New York, but around the country, where you're seeing 17,000+ people in the building for a W Finals game at Barclays Center. You're seeing people show up for women's basketball. What do you think about the growth of the sport right now?
The growth has been incredible. It's actually undeniable. In the past 5 years, we've seen the league grow, the game grow. From sponsorships to viewership to fandom. And it's been quite incredible to see. Barclays has been rocking all season. I've been at just about every game, and it's electric. So to hear a comment, that it's quiet, it's dark, it's the furthest thing from the truth. In fact, I think that statement should be walked back because it's not true at all. And the Liberty organization has done a lot to make sure that environment is friendly, is loud, is everything that it has been. So, even the celebrities that have, passed through, I'm seeing celebrities actually come back multiple times. G-Eazy has come back multiple times. Issa Rae has come back, Paige Hurd, and more. Brooklyn Nets players like Mikal Bridges comes to every game when he's in town. We see Brooklyn Nets players at every game. So people are showing up. Fat Joe showed up multiple times. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of fandom from all these different, pockets and industries, and everybody wants to see a Liberty game.
I didn't understand that either. Like I said, not my experience. Was in the Barclays multiple times this year, and the crowds were rocking. I was there for a couple of times against the Aces. It was fantastic. Last thing I'll ask you about this with this bonus question is just, where do you see the league going from here? Because there's been so much growth. It's undeniable. I love the word that you used there. Absolutely, positively undeniable. Where do you see the league going from here? Because, we're going to see expansion out in the Bay. San Francisco will get a team. There's been talk about more expansion. How far do you see things going for the WNBA?
Oh, my goodness. Again, expansion is the biggest word right now. But we also need to think about chartered flights. There's no reason why a Candace Parker should be sitting next to any common person, including myself.
Yeah,
including me.
Me too. If I'm sitting next to Candace Parker, I don't care where you're sitting, first class, economy, whatever, you should be. Yeah,
it's a problem.
I don't know if she should be here.
It's a problem. So I think that the league has, a few things that they need to work on, including charter flights, expansion. But at the end of the day, the game is growing. We're going to see more teams. Oakland, as you said, is getting a team. Maybe Portland next. Who knows? It's a rumor right now. But I see the league expanding even internationally. Toronto showed up huge for that one game this season. And, sky's the limit when it comes to the league's expansion and the league's growth.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think sky is absolutely the limit. The growth has been fantastic. This was such a fun year covering the W. Speaking of fun, it was so fun to have you on the New York Sports Rapid Rundown. I appreciate you coming through.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, definitely glad to have you. That is Greydy Díaz. Go check out her work. She has her hands in a lot of things, like I said at the top here, and it's the mid-range mommy. Don't question the jump shot. She will shoot it in your eye. Wet. It's going to be easy, just like that. Greydy, thanks so much. We'll do it again.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. That is this episode of the New York Sports Rapid Rundown. For Greydy Díaz, I'm Dexter Henry. Until next time, peace.